Yiratzon Pesach Tafshin Ayin Vav Shalim Modia Refuat Tanya Bat Hoda Margalit Yosef Yair Ben Aviva Chava Harav Sivan Ben Sima Betoch Kol Shal Chol Israel. The nigun we just sang is a song that's called Ana Hashem Ki Ani Avdecha, which simply means, Hashem, to where do you want me to go, because I am your slave. If there's a main concept, a main idea that evolves and creates the experience of Pesach, it's the true actual definition of what does actual slavery and what does actual freedom mean. It's a question and a concept that throughout all of history people are dealing with and are asking themselves, what does true freedom mean and what is true slavery? When we look at the Seder, there are certain aspects that reveal the fact that we are slaves or were slaves. When we speak about the maror, we're experiencing the slavery. And when we're leaning like a king, we're speaking about redemption. But there's one part of the Seder, one mitzvah that we have that's a little bit unclear. The mitzvah of the matzah is something that we can see as not so clear if it's experiencing the slavery or experiencing the redemption. And so the Sfat Emet in the year 1875, he says that we call the matzah lechem oni. And when we call it lechem oni, that means that when we're eating the matzah, we're reacting and reliving the fact that we were slaves. It's the lechem of oni, of the fact that we were poor and that we lived in miserable lives. And the matzah isn't that exciting. It didn't rise. It doesn't have much taste. It doesn't have any real great additions. It's pretty not exciting. But then there's another sign which says Shehu al hacherut, that we eat it because they ate matzah when they went out into freedom. And the same food that they ate when they experienced freedom for the first time is the matzah. So it seems very unclear. Is it that matzah is resembling slavery, or is the matzah resembling redemption? And so the Sfat Emet explains that maybe in the matzah we can see an experience that's a little bit different about Pesach. And he says, "V'ha'emet nir'ah ki hu hamatzah al klal ha'yerida leMitzrayim ve'ha'geula." He says that when we look throughout history, people saw matzah as slavery and people saw matzah as redemption. He says, "Ha'emet nir'ah ki hu al klal ha'galut ve'ha'geula." Meaning that the answer about the matzah is that there is no answer. The matzah is not redemption, and the matzah is not slavery. When we're eating the matzah, there's two things, there's two aspects to the matzah. On one hand, the matzah really is what they ate when they left. And at the same time, the matzah is something that it did not rise, that's a little bit not developed, and therefore resembling the oni and the galut. But he says that really the idea of the matzah is that it's both. Is that when you're eating the matzah, you're experiencing both the galut and the geula. That you're not separating the two, you're not dividing the two, you're not seeing one and the other, you're relating them to each other. You're recognizing that the matzah has both perspectives. When you look at the matzah, you can see galut. And when you look at the matzah, you can see geula. And so if we go back to the initial question, what is actual slavery? So Rav Kook, in the year 1907, he comes back to understand this question and go back to the idea of the Sfat Emet. And says that Rav Kook, Ha'evdel sheben eved leben chorin eineno hevdel ma'amadi. The difference between slavery and redemption is not practical. When we envision slavery, we see people that are handcuffed. And when we envision redemption, we vision people that are walking in the fields freely. We have an image of something external. A slave is someone who's wearing jail clothes. Someone who is free is someone who is wearing clothes of a king. Says Rav Kook, Eved v'ben chorin eineno ma'amad. The idea of slavery and redemption is not an external definition of who you are. Rather, the definition of Eved and Ben Chorin, says Rav Kook, Haruach shel avdut v'haruach shel cherut. There is no actual definition of slavery, and there is no actual definition of freedom. Explains why, Rav Kook, why is there no actual idea of what slavery and redemption is? Because he says, Yecholim limtso eved sherucho maleh cherut. You can find someone that their lives are miserable. They're living in jail like Natan Sharansky. That they're living in the lowest possible way that you can imagine life to be good. And they're free-spirited. They're all good, they're all happy, they're all excited. Ulahefech, Ben Chorin, you can find people with degrees and salaries and families and so many friends. Ben Chorin, it's all good. They're not lonely, they're not miserable, it's all good. But Ruach Shel Eved, with all of the redemption that they have, with all of the opportunity they have, their spirit is the spirit of a slave. And so says Rav Kook, slavery and redemption is not external, it's internal. It's not what you have, it's how you perceive what you have. A person can be in Mitzrayim and can be in the lowest, darkest place and perceive it as Geula. And a person can be in Geula and have all the opportunity in the world and have so much greatness surrounding him and be the biggest slave that there is, because it comes down to the question of the matzah. If we go back to the Sfat Emet, the Sfat Emet says, in the matzah we can see both. In the matzah we can see slavery. All of us know when we're eating the matzah, it's not that exciting. It's not something that you can see, and it's not like, the chalot on Shabbat where you add sugar-coated things. It's just pretty dried out. The external of the matzah is not that exciting, and really it does resemble a lechem which is poor, a lechem which is ani, a lechem which is not developed, a life where things are broken and things aren't simple. That is true. It's actually true that the matzah is ani. And at the same time, it's the same bread that they ate when they left Egypt. And I see the aniyut, the fact that it's all limited, not as something that's preventing me from redemption, but the definition of redemption. That showed how excited they were, how they ran out into redemption, how it happened so fast. And therefore, when you're eating the matzah, you decide what you want to see. You look at the matzah and you see redemption, or you see exile, because that is the true definition of avdut v'cherut. It is your perception of what you're looking at. In every single thing in the world, there are two sides. In everything that we deal with, there's something that is a challenge, and something that's a privilege. And the only true person who is redeemed and free is the one who defines redemption as an internal definition of how I perceive life. Do I look at the matzah as aniyut, or do I look at the matzah as the ta'alich of geula? And the truth is that they're both true. And it's only your decision. Many years ago, when I finished teaching in Oraita, about 3 years ago with my class, one of my students, Yehuda Leib Lakocho, wrote me a closing letter for the year. And he wrote one word: nothingness. And then he wrote a few more words: thank you for a year of nothingness. And after a year of being really, really close, I really couldn't understand. Why would someone write a letter to thank you for a year of nothingness? And so I went over to Yehuda Leib and I said to him, what does it mean, a year of nothingness? And he explained to me that we went through many experiences, but it's his decision to make it what it is. Everything is really the beginning of realizing where you want to take it. You might have many experiences, but it's all nothing if you don't make it into everything. And my bracha to us as we enter into Pesach is that we recognize that the true opportunity when we're sitting at our seders with our families is that we get to look at the greatest present in the world. We're looking at our families. We're looking at the people that we care about, the people that we love. And the Torah says that you have to sit in the bait when you experience redemption. And it's so weird. We were redeemed as a nation. Let's go outside. Let's celebrate. Why are you sitting with your family? But that's what you have. But do you really feel what you have? Are you full from the fact that you have a family that you're sitting with? And as we enter into our sedarim and we look at our matzah, it's asking us a question. And it's saying to us, are you waiting for redemption? Because then you'll never find it. Because if you're waiting for redemption, it means that it's external. And then you don't understand the definition of redemption. If you're creating redemption, if you're seeing your family that you're sitting with as the beginning of the greatest present in the world, then you are actually free. And with that freedom, when we sit with our families, we should all have the bracha to give to other people in the world that don't believe in themselves enough to define their lives as opportunities, to give out to the people, the kol dichvin that are sitting at our sedarim, the people that are coming from the outside that maybe have not seen this before, to feel that true redemption is an internal definition of how I look at things, and that both options are real, and I decide which one to choose. Chag Sameach.